Okay, what we're doing here is we're going to be finding the domain, and we're only given a function. We can't graph it. I don't know how to graph it. So what we need to do is we need to find the domain. Now, we know that no matter what we put into here, it's going to work out just fine, because all that's going to do is give me a number on top. Now, but on the bottom, there is something that I don't want on the bottom, and that is to make it undefined, which means we do not want a 0 on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I know I can just ignore this guy because with the domain, we know everything's going to work here. There is going to be something that's not going to work here. In other words, we want 3x plus 1 to never be 0. So we just solve, subtract 1, subtract 1. So 3x cannot be negative 1. Divide by 3. So x cannot be negative 1/3. Now, let's see what happens if I plug this guy in, since we're thinking, oh, well, we can plug anything we want in. So we go negative 1/3 times 3 is going to be negative 1 minus 5 on the top, all over. This is going to be a negative 1 plus 1. So that gives us negative 6 over 0. Uh-oh, this guy has a 0 on the bottom, which means he is undefined. Which means that guy, this guy right here, when I plug him in, is going to give me an undefined thing, which means it cannot be a part of the domain. In other words, domain is what x can be. So what I need to do is I need to state my domain, because it's asking what the domain is. So I'm going to put the domain as set notation, so x such that x cannot be negative 1/3. Everything else works. If I want interval notation, it's going to be from negative infinity to negative 1/3, but we are not going to include negative 1/3 with the union of negative 1/3 to infinity. So on the number line, what that's saying is everybody except this guy right here is not going to work, but everybody else is good, but this guy's not.